I walked in the place, sat by the bar, all the drinks on me, don't go too far, sitting by the bartender, asked her.
What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy Icon E. And we're here on 910 Sports podcast once again. And once again, I want to thank God. First and foremost, I want to thank God for this opportunity to be able to come on here with my brother to have these great episodes, to have great people on, to have great conversations. So without further ado, I want to introduce my man, my right-hand man, your baby mama's favorite host. You know what I'm saying? The man that gets it done. You know what I'm saying? No matter what, by any means necessary, my man Jacob the Great. What's going on in the building, man? What's going on, fam?
What up, man? Glad to be in the land of living. We are blessed to see another day. And of course, we stay blessed by the best, man, and ready to chop it up with this wonderful guest, man. And peace and blessings to everybody who out there watching and listening. You in for a super dope treat.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So go ahead and introduce this man so we get this interview cracking.
All right, man. We have MMA fighter, pro that is, personal trainer, youth advocate, Psycho Soto. So, man, welcome to the show. Welcome to the 901 Sports Podcast. And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Nah, thank y'all for having me on here, man. It's always a blessing just get out there and just talk about the journey. But uh, I've been in this community, the martial arts community, for about 7 years now. Had to start from the ground up. I've been doing everything from jujitsu, wrestling, boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing, MMA. So I've even judo. So I've dabbled my hand in a few, different styles. Just try to be the best I can be, well rounded. But yeah, man, I've been fighting for probably about 2 3 years now. I've been competing in jujitsu for about 5 years. Been doing personal training for about a year and coaching for about a year as well. I coach kickboxing. I do kids jujitsu. On the side, I do personal training, and a lot of it's teach people self defense, getting people in shape, just making a workout fun for people. I think that's what a lot of people lack. So, I'm just out here trying to do what I'm passionate about. It's not even about the money. It's not about none of that. I just love doing this and just want everyone else to know about it as well.
Okay, great, man. So, with that being said, man, you've covered a lot of ground with what you just spoke about. And so, what
Sure.
made you so passionate about, discovering martial arts and becoming a martial artist, as well as teaching people self defense and just the discipline of it, man? You got to be very disciplined to do what you're doing, and you teach people discipline. So, if you can just tell us, where you started from, where you're from, and how did you grow into to be a force to be reckoned with in this business, because it's definitely a business. And
Yeah.
so, if you can talk about the training, the fighting, and the business aspect of it.
Yes, sir. So, I actually found martial arts. Probably when I was like 21 years old. Really just kind of lost in life, man. I wasn't book smart. I mean, I was book smart, but I didn't like being in school. Like I didn't want to do college. School wasn't for me. I grew up in a small town known as Beaumont, Texas. Growing up over there, they have a really high crime rate. Everybody wants to be a drug dealer. Everybody wants to be a rapper. Everybody, just kind of has a they just have the wrong mentality. A lot of people are lost, and that's what happens when we have these small towns and there's not a lot going on in those small towns. So I want to say I was about 20, 21 years old, and I just got tired of, just having that anger from my upbringing. And finally, I was like, I see these other dudes. I've been watching UFC, I've been watching kickboxing, and I see how they hold themselves. And I would like that martial arts kind of personality. I want to be that martial artist. So, and that goes with just watching movies like Jackie Chan movies, Jet Li movies, you know, um, even Bruce Lee. So, whenever I moved to Dallas and I started looking up some gyms around me. And I went to the first one I found, and they did everything. They did boxing, kickboxing, jujitsu, and I fell in love with it right away. And like the first day I walked in and I did it, I was like, oh man, I think I think I'm gonna chase this. I really love like the atmosphere, just learning something new, and I just felt like I was naturally good at it. Like I just felt like I just belonged in there, and I can't really tell anybody else about that feeling. But when you feel that, when you walk somewheres or you work hard for something and you just feel like you belong somewhere, it's like that's a different feeling. So when I walked into the MMA gym, man, I was like, oh, this is this is who I want to be. I want to be like these people. So I took a while to find my home, my MMA home, and I came out here to Arlington, Texas, and I ran into Coach Eric Flores over at a Lucio Silva Jiu Jitsu, and he welcomed me in with open arms. Didn't care that I trained at other places. He just wanted me to come in and kind of prove myself, and that's what he does with everybody. He makes you come in, do some Jiu Jitsu, work your way up to your blue belt, do your Muay Thai, kickboxing. You do some smokers, some fights that aren't on your record and see how you do from there. And I just kept winning, just kept doing good. So eventually went to the MMA fight and I did my first MMA fight. I think it was 2021 of January, and I got a 30-second submission. Then my next fight, I ended up winning a split decision, and I ended up dealing with some shoulder injuries after that. And then as of this year, I was like, well, I can't really grapple too much, but I can strike. So I did two Muay Thai fights. I did a smoker, and yeah, man, the journey is just gonna keep on going on. So I quit working probably sometime in July, and told myself I was like, I think I'm gonna go ahead and pursue this personal training, coaching lifestyle to help me get better at what I'm doing, get better at my craft. So I started picking up some clients. Made a post on Facebook. A lot of people hit me up, very interested. And whenever I was training them, it was a really beautiful feeling. Whenever they would come back the next session and they like felt proud about what they were doing. They're going home, they're working on it, they're asking me questions. I got kids that have been bullied, and I'm teaching them how to defend themselves. I'm leaving people with something they can carry on in their life, and that's a beautiful feeling in itself. I always heard someone say, "Don't chase the money, chase the passion," and I just want to pass that on to everybody else. Don't do it for the money, do it because you love it.
Okay, so mentally, emotionally, and spiritually,
Yes,
when you're
sir.
training and you're fighting, man, what type of mindset do you have to stay focused and to be disciplined? When it's coming from the mental, the emotional side, and
Yes.
when it's coming from the spiritual side as well.
So the emotional side of it, whenever you have fights come up, you really, really have to get into the mindset, and a lot of that. Luckily, I have a wonderful girlfriend, and she's very supportive, and we sit down and we talk about this stuff because when you're out in the world and you're going there and you're just trying to be a good person, you come home, you got to be a good uh, boyfriend, husband, father, all the brother, son, all these things. It really changes whenever you have a fight coming up because you really have to get into that kind of war mentality. Like you have to remind yourself every day, I'm about to get in this cage, and this person's gonna either really hurt me or I'm gonna have to really hurt them, and that's hard to just kind of bear, especially. I mean, I don't enjoy hurting people, but I love the sport, and it's one thing that I've always felt natural. Like when I go out there, I'm calm, but uh, I would say emotionally, I put myself like I kind of just like get myself ready. Like every day, I'm telling myself I got to get up because this person is working so hard to beat my ass. I got to work even harder to beat his ass. So every day, that's motivation right there. Um, it does get a little tricky whenever you're having to like deal with employees, deal with people in the everyday world. But you learn to kind of adapt to it and just kind of like, just shrug it off, ignore it, stuff like that. As of the spiritual side, that's kind of hard sometimes too. The spiritual side, I do a lot of meditation, man. And whenever I'm getting ready for these fights and I'm just kind of by myself, just sitting down and I'm thinking, I like to think about where I came from, and when I think about where I came from, a lot of it's poverty, just being broke, having a lot of people just always count me out. Never felt like I fit in any group. Never felt like I always, I see all these people and they have childhood friends. I never really had that. I never grew up and like had people I clicked with. Um, the other aspect of it is I was in jail probably as young as 15 years old, and spending a lot of times behind bars and thinking about where I'm at in life, seeing my parents cry about where I'm at, and just be like, I was just angry, so I was just making a lot of the wrong decisions, and I kind of tell myself like I've been making the wrong decisions and wasting my life for all these years. It's time for me to do something for me. So when I get ready for these fights, I tell myself no matter what happens, I've already lost in life. I already know what it feels like to lose in life. I've already been behind bars. I've already been low in my life. I've been around drug addicts. I've been around all these people that you know think that drug dealing and stuff like that's cool. And when I think about that, I think that they're all just losers, man. Like I'm in a better place now. So yeah, I like to meditate a lot before my fights and think about that, and it really helps me go out there and just build up that adrenaline and build up just that inner demon kind of. So that's how I get through that a lot. A lot of meditation, a lot of talking to myself, and having the right people around you. That's a big part too.
Okay, it's great. And you spoke of the different styles of fighting.
Yes,
And
sir.
so, what would you say is the most complex style of fighting that gets you over the top when you're facing an opponent?
So I think it's more of the tools that you use. I think wrestling and boxing are really big aspects to the fight game. But there's also other parts to the puzzle that you got to add. Like if you have really good wrestling and you don't have good submissions, and I mean, you're probably going to get messed up by a jujitsu dude, right? If you have really good kickboxing and you go against a really good boxer, I mean, that he's going to have really good hands. So he's probably going to piece you up with the hands. So you got to kind of change it up. Um, I can't really say which one's better than the other because they all benefit off of each other. Um, I think it's the creativity part, right? Using the stuff that works, sticking to the fundamentals, and just being creative. Just going in the gym, mixing it up. Start with your boxing, use your legs, try to get to the takedown. Just I'll figure out what the dominant positions are. I don't want to be on my back in an MMA fight where I'm just getting my ass beat the whole time. I want to be on top beating his ass or put him up against the cage, tiring him out or when you get to striking, it gets a little bit more complex. Distance, power, the combos, reading patterns. It just turns into a big old chess game. And yeah, it's I work on everything, and I take what is useful, and use it. Or if it's not very useful, or I feel like it's not really beneficial, I just throw it away.
So, with that being said, man, how does the discipline of the MMA, fighting and the training, and you being a mentor and a
Right.
trainer and a coach, how does that impact the community? And and what do you want the community to look at when they think of you?
So the discipline aspect of it is you're going to a gym, you're working hard for a goal. You feel good about it. You're obviously living a healthy lifestyle. I would say every day I'm in the gym, it keeps me away from making a decision or keeps me away from people that make poor decisions. I don't really have time to be going out. I don't have time to be messing with no one, riding around drinking or at the house, just partying all the time. I don't got time for none of that. I don't got I invest so much money into this, my coaches, to my nutrition, to just all of it, man. You need a strength and conditioning coach, you need boxing coaches, you need jujitsu coaches, you need the right nutrition, you need the right supplements. All that stuff adds up. And even when you start off fighting, you also have to pay for your blood work, the medicals. You have to pay for the physical. You got to pay for all that stuff out of pocket. So it's not an easy journey. You don't really make a lot of money off of fighting either. When I do amateur fights, the way I make my money is I was blessed to be in a good spot around the right people that sponsor me and help me out. But the discipline side, I'm always in the gym. So it keeps me away from doing anything else and it keeps my focus right as if like the whole community as a whole. Just like any community, man, you're gonna run into some shitheads and you're gonna run into some very good people. It's just gonna happen. But I would say just everyone's kind of chasing the same goal to be the best, and that's where the discipline comes in. Is if you want to be the best, you have to be consistent You have to show up and train. You have to stick with a program. You have to put in extra hours. You can't just be sitting around playing the game or just fucking off. You gotta work hard towards this, and you gotta and a lot of it's just watching fights too. Even sitting at home studying other fighters, seeing what they're doing, seeing what their workout programs are. So some people come into this and they do it for fun, and that's okay too. But there's people like me, and we're trying to figure out every possible way to be the best fighter we can be.
Okay. So, and with that being said, man, just want to say, and then I'm gonna turn it over to my partner.
Yes, sir.
MMA has grown tremendously.
Tremendously,
I
yes.
can remember when it first started, and now you have big pay per view fights. You have people flying in from all over the country to come to different fights. You have I can remember when you know Rampage Jackson and Anderson Silver and
That was
all
my
these
favorite.
guys
Right.
was huge, man. I can remember them being in all these different sports magazines and doing these photo shoots with all these major companies and stuff like that. So for you, when it comes to MMA, did you think it was going to grow this big? And where do you see yourself as a champion fighter in the next 5 years?
So nah, man. I honestly, I've done quite a few podcasts. I've had many sponsors. I get online and I market myself pretty good. I make a lot of content. Um, no, I never really expected this to happen. It's not really like a change to me. It's just kind of like my life now. It feels normal. Doing the podcast, talking about it, making the videos. I feel like, it's not really something I have to do. It's not something that I feel like I'm obligated to do. It's something I do because I love it. And I've luckily I've been pretty good at networking and just communicating with people and being able to just get my voice out there, make these people see my face, regardless if people want to see it or not. Hey, it's any any publicity is good publicity. I can't talk right now, but yeah, man. In the next 5 years, I definitely want to go pro. I'm not going to try and focus too much on being, the UFC champion. I like to take fights one at a time, focus on one opponent at a time, and I definitely kind of have a strategy on how I do that. But I would like to be in one championship in the next 5 years. I think being pro, if I go pro next year, I'll probably be fighting, have a good number of fights under my belt by the 2 or 3 year mark. So the last 2 years, I would like to get into a big promotion and start really trying to earn some real money, like really pay off doing this, really going to the next step. And eventually, if everything works out, I'd like to go to the UFC. That's everyone's end goal. They got a lot of eyes on them. They're making a lot of everyone's talking about them. They're on ESPN. So who doesn't want to go to that? That's like the NFL for MMA right now. So that's always the end goal, I think, for everybody.
Okay, back to you, Icon.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Before we continue on with the interview, we definitely have to shout out our partners, Village Global Network. We have 8 radio stations that we affiliated with them. We actually went from 146 countries to 173 countries, and so that means we only 22 countries away from being in the entire world, literally.
Nice.
Um, we just picked up a new radio station out of Mexico City, called Fierce Radio. We should have the logo with that soon. We actually gonna have our own website up real soon, so we give everybody information on that when we get that. And we also want to shout out our other separate radio stations: She Real Radio, T Dubs Radio out of Atlanta and Mississippi. And if you want to book us or come on for an interview, you hit me up at icone910sports at gmail.com. Or you can book us through that same information. And please follow us on 910 Sports and Entertainment Network on our YouTube page. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers there. So definitely follow us there. So anyway, back to the interview with Psycho Soto. So as a kid, so because I know that to be a fighter, whether it's boxing or fighting or whatever, it
Right.
takes a mindset. So as a kid, did you have to fight a lot, or did you get bullied a lot as a kid? So what was your childhood like that got you to this point?
Nah, man. So dude, I've had my fair share of fights. I don't think it was nothing too crazy. I think it was just, regular. I would say when I was a young kid, my parents got a divorce probably when I was in third grade. I think I was like 8 years old. So there was a lot of fighting going on in my household. I was actually a very quiet kid, but once my parents split up, they used to fight a lot over us, or just fight with each other. And I'm 27 years old now, so I understand. I've been through breakups. I know how hard they can be, especially when you have kids together. So as I grew up, I felt like I was just really having a hard time in school, and that led to me having a hard time getting along with people, or being social with other kids. So eventually, yeah, I had some kids that tried picking on me, and I got into fights and stuff, but I ended up, with my parents fighting so much, I started, hanging out with the wrong groups, getting interested in the wrong things. And I think as early as middle school, man, kids were already gangbanging in my hometown. They're already claiming their Crips, their Bloods. And now, this is a small town. So obviously, this is passed on from the generation before them. But so I went to school and I used to hang out with a lot of the Bloods, and they used to, always get into fights with the other side. Everyone was trying to start a gang. Everyone was trying to gang bang. Everyone was jumping each other, all this other crazy shit. And
And
yeah,
what
so
time was this?
this was Beaumont, Texas.
Beaumont, Texas. Okay, yeah, you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually in Texas right now. I'm actually in Amarillo right now. But yeah,
Okay.
but yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, man, just growing up kind of like around that environment, I think it really just brought that anger kind of in me. I think I was already an anger kid because of the stuff that was going on in my home, but when you start whenever you're angry, you start hanging out with other angry kids. So I think
Mm.
that's what kind of led to the extracurricular stuff. By the time I was in ninth grade, man, I was already selling weed in school, getting into fights out of school, getting into shit, messing around. We already had guns and shit by 15 years old. So yeah, we weren't no just little immature kids playing video games. Now we're trying to get into some big boy stuff. And during that time, everyone thought it was really cool. And now that I'm older, I'm realizing that I really just wasted my life just hanging around with a bunch of dumbasses. But I think later on in life, I started, I had kids, and I was getting into it with the mother of my kids. I wasn't seeing eye to eye. I was on felony probation at 15 years old. I had my first kid at 17. So at 15, I was on probation and I got caught with a gun charge. I had a gun on me at school. And I know these days, these kids are on some other shit. They taking guns to school and shooting people. But to us, we were just, drug dealers, gangbangers. We just had guns on us. So yeah, eventually that led to obviously more dangerous stuff, more dangerous people. Um, and yeah, man, I think just being around that lifestyle and just being angry and just getting in those type of fights, those type of scenarios. When I say those type of fights, I mean I've had guns on me, I've had people rob me, had people try running me off the road. I've had I've been jumped. I've been in all kinds of messed up situations myself. So I think growing up and getting tired of being picked on, getting tired of being messed with. Uh, I think the one thing every kid wants is they want power, right? Whenever you're living in that kind of environment, everybody wants power, and that's why they do these type of things. And with great power comes great responsibility, and it can either go one or two ways. It's either going to land you in jail or you're going to find a way to adapt to it. And I think before it got to the worst, it definitely became better. I think I learned how to adapt to it and found an outlet to kind of use that built up anger. But it's not easy, you have to want it. I remember waking up one day and I was just like, man, I'm tired of this life, tired of looking at these fucking I was living in a trap house, and I was like, man, I'm tired of looking at these walls. They all beat up, rioting, staying here, barely got food. We just, we trying to sell drugs just to make ends meet. So eventually I remember waking up, and I'll never forget this day. I woke up and I was like, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of everything. I'm tired of my how my whole life has been. And I remember hitting up my dad, and I was like, "Hey, is there any way I can come to Houston with you and change?" And it wasn't an easy process from there. I was still figuring some stuff out, going to work, just learning how to be an adult. Learn how to be a man. Really, not even an adult. Just learn how to be a man, a good man, for that instance. And once I got to a point where I got into a really bad argument with one of the mother of my kids, and she sent some people after to jump me, and this was a white supremacy gang, and that was the last straw. I remember I was doing good, and then this one little incident happened, and I was like, you know what, I got to do something with this anger, because if nothing happens, then I I'm just gonna be going to jail or end up being killed. So I looked up MMA gyms, and that's when I found one, and it was the one time I ever been somewhere and I can just forget about the world. And it was also the one time that after I got done training, I was too tired to even like be angry. I was like, man, I was ready to go home, go to bed, and eat. And that's it. So yeah, I just kind of stuck with it, and every day I just noticed that it kind of came more naturally to me. Just kind of got better and better. But just to answer your question, I feel like that's how my childhood kind of led up to this. And there's obviously a lot of different puzzle pieces that were added in, but once you get older, you start kind of forgetting, and then it eventually pops up. But yes, sir.
Okay, so when you got older, I mean, as far as like with fighting and being getting to after a match or whatever, and I tell people this all the time. I said we look at the military, we look at our police officers, we look at our athletes, especially football players or even wrestlers or people that's in violent sports. And we want them to be able to, and then we hear about their personal life where they get into domestic issues, whether it's with their significant other or somebody in the streets. And we're trained that you're trained to kill, you're trained to be a certain way. So basically, with these fights, how hard is it after a fight to be able to like bring it down and go back to normal when you have to go in to those fight with a certain mentality to basically destroy your opponent?
That's actually a really good question, man. It actually takes me a couple days, believe it or not. Sometimes I just kind of, I have like different ways of doing it. I do a lot of studying on psychology on my own. I like listening to different podcasts, read different books and stuff, and just trying to understand like how I'm feeling. I think that's the most important part for anybody. But whenever I get done with a fight, I'm running off that adrenaline. I'm like, damn, I just got done beating this dude's ass, all this other stuff. I'm feeling good. I think it's more of like a relief. Like after I've been training so hard for so many weeks or so many months, and like it finally happened. Oh, hang on, my light went off on me. Oh shit. There it goes. Sorry about that.
You
But
good?
anyways, all I was saying was about that was you just kind of learn how to handle your emotions a little better. I never go out and I never pick fights. I never, I don't want to be that dude. And it's also like kind of in the back of my head, I'm confident. I know if someone messes with me, I know what I'm capable of. I don't need to, I'm not getting money for fighting this person. I'm not gaining no recognition from fighting this person. It's kind of a waste of my time. But I'm also not gonna let someone just push up on me. I'm not gonna let someone just come and bump me, disrespect my girl, disrespect, you know, nothing like that. So luckily, I've been managing 7 years and I haven't really gotten to any altercations outside of the gym. Um, usually whenever I've had a few people smart off to me or say something disrespectful, and a lot of times, man, I just walk away. I'm just like, yeah, 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 whatever. There's been a few close encounters, but when you go to the gym and you're training as hard as I train, like you're too tired to even worry about that. You're too tired to even fight. You're like, man, I'm just trying to go home and eat. I ain't worried about you. You probably ain't gonna give me nothing. This is it's just a waste of time. So yeah, man, that's kind of what I do. I could like to sit at home, not be bothered for 3 days after my fights, and just kind of come back to reality. Just remind myself, hey, we gotta calm down. We gotta get off this high real quick. So that's some things I like to do a lot.
Yeah, because I know Mayweather was talking about they had asked somebody. I forgot he was in an interview. Somebody asked him about the whole Ti thing, and he was
Yeah.
basically like I get paid to do this for a living, and that was a moment where yeah, I guess he's thinking like yeah, I could have, you know, got at Ti if I wanted to. I guess when he supposedly allegedly swung at Mayweather over Tiny or whatever, but he was like really. I just kind of like brushed it off and looked at it like, bruh, like I do this for a living. I'm not about to fight you in these streets, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Or, you know, and mess up my career or something happens or whatever. So because I know like even like with you doing with the martial arts stuff and all that, it's a certain level of discipline that comes with it anyway. That are more mentally disciplined than most people when it comes to not allowing your emotions. Because even when you're in that ring, you know, most people don't realize it, but a lot of it is more mental than it is physical in that
Absolutely.
ring. So when you're
Yeah.
looking across from your opponent, and that opponent, do you ever have you ever gone in and seen? You don't have to say who it was because you might have to fight him again or something. But you ever
Right.
look or seen an opponent and was like, man, I know I'm about to get destroyed, or I don't know how this gonna play. Have you ever had that moment, either whether it was in the beginning or whatever, that you said, man, I don't know about this. What was I thinking?
So I never had the feeling of like I was gonna get destroyed. The only thing that comes to mind is my second MMA fight before I hurt my shoulder. I got sick during weight cutting, and it was I was talking about I was fever, nauseous, throwing up, all that, man. I wasn't feeling good at all, and I think I had to weigh in, and I think it was like the next day, and I had probably 8 to 9 pounds to cut. So I'm running a fever, I'm sick as a dog, and I'm over here still having to cut weight. And if you don't know what cutting weight's like, you have to work, you have to do a lot of cardio exercises. You have to get into the sauna, a hot Epsom salt bath. We have a lot of tricks to do it, and of course the nutritional side. So I was really sick, and I was like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make this weight, but I'm gonna have to do it by any means necessary. And I did. But the next day, when it was fight day, after we weighed in, I didn't feel so great. I was like, man, I don't feel like I have a lot of energy right now. And I think that's the hardest part is whenever you wake up and you're not on your game. Because, like, the whole time I've been building up to this fight, I've been waking up and going to train, and I'm ready to hurt this dude, feeling pumped up. And now all of a sudden I come into this fight and I'm like, damn, this dude got a lot of energy. So, I didn't really think he was going to destroy me because I knew what we game planned. I knew how we were going to work on it. I saw his weaknesses and I calculated on it. I won the fight by pretty much just out wrestling him, finishing. Almost got him in a few submissions. Got some good ground and pound. But when you have someone they have a lot of energy and they're coming in there, the best thing to do is tire them out. And that's exactly what I did. I just got him to the ground, held him there, let him get tired out a little bit. Then I made it an even playing field for myself. But that was the only time I remember looking across him, and I was like, "Fuck, man, this dude look like he about to come in hot. I hope this doesn't go bad." But that was the only time to come on.
Well, let me ask you this question, but I'm gonna get back to Jacob
Yes,
because I
sir.
always thought about this when I've been watching, especially when I watch boxing matches or I watch certain fights. And I always wonder, like, when a person is going through that moment in a fight where, like you saying, your opponent, like, you kind of game plan, but you ever had that opponent where they did totally opposite what you thought they was gonna do, and how is it like when you go to your corner and your boxing trainer trying to tell you, like he's trying to like basically encourage you to do certain things, and in your mind, how easy or hard is it to try to shift to another mindset to get yourself like to the point where you can know where you can like almost like that the trainer. I think I can. I know I'm gonna win this fight no matter what, even though it looks like the impossible because this fighter is either maybe stronger, faster, or they're doing something I wasn't ready for.
Right. So I haven't had any fights to where they made really any adjustments, or when I say adjustments, like I haven't had any fights to where they changed from the game plan to where like they knocked me off my train of thought. Um, they did do like made a few adjustments, like little things, like they throw this strike and they do it sloppy. Well, when I fight them, the strike is more cleaner, like they fix up like little things, or they set things up that I'm not noticing. But it's never been like I get into a fight and they just change the course of the fight. Um, where I would say probably my last Husky Fat fight, I went in there and he was throwing some pretty good bombs in the first round. and I remember going to my corner and I just felt fucking gassed. I was like, dude, I'm tired. I was like, and he was tired too, but I didn't notice it. As you can tell, I'm wearing glasses, so I can't see all the way across the ring from me. I'm like, so I don't know if he's tired, how if he's hurt. I don't know, but telling me, no, I need to move more. I need to throw more strikes. I need to go in there and be aggressive. And yeah, that was the first time I went in there, and I was like, man, someone's gonna get knocked out this round, and I can't let it be me. And I've been in those situations before. Even in my second MMA fight, he caught me in the chin and almost knocked me out. And I was like, everyone talks about the your light flashing before your eyes. That's kind of what happened. It was like maybe 3 seconds, but man, it seemed like it took 5 minutes just thinking everything that was going through my brain. But yeah, when he dropped me and I went for the takedown, and I just remember during that process, I was like, "There's no way in hell I can't let this happen." And you just kind of let that dog out. And some people can do it, some people can't. And that's the beauty of the sport, is because some people may love doing it, some people probably do really good starting off, but down the road, it can really change a person. You know, it really change a person.
Okay, go ahead, Jacob.
Okay, so when you're training, man, and you have the different coaches. You have the kickboxing coaches, the boxing coaches, the jiu-jitsu coaches, and so forth and so on. How mentally do you have to be prepared for the training and the things that a coach would say to you?
So my boxing coach, me and him game plan a lot. Coach Aaron G's boxing out here in Dallas. Shout out to him. Uh, Whenever we get together, we kind of sit down and like really just dissect the fight. Dissect the fighter or the opponent. So I tell him what I see. I tell him some things that I feel like I'm confident in doing, and then he fixes it. He gives me his little taste of it. So then the whole time we're training, that's all we're doing. We're doing drills. Whatever the game plan is, we're doing drills that has to do with that game plan. I have two main coaches. I have my boxing coach, which is Coach Aaron, and then my jiu-jitsu slash Muay Thai coach, which is Eric Flores. And Eric gives me some advice, but I think for the most part, we every time we have a fight offer, we watch the video first and see how the matchup is, because some of these people are coming from a crazy background, and I've only been training for so many years. Like it just doesn't make sense, right? Maybe in the maybe later on, yeah, it makes sense. But I would say for the most part, when we study these films, we're like, okay, I see strengths and weaknesses on my behalf. I see strengths and weaknesses on his behalf. I feel like I can do this. What do you think? And we sit down and we just kind of plan it out, and then we utilize it in every training session. They come by when I'm training. They're like, "Hey, you need to be doing this or doing this because it's what your opponent's gonna want." And that's kind of how we build up to what we have in store for people. But the beauty of MMA is people come from wrestling backgrounds, striking backgrounds, jujitsu backgrounds. So there you can't get perfect at every art. So everybody has holes. Everybody has holes somewhere. It's only a matter of, can you find that hole and can you calculate on it? Can the preparation get you to where you need to be? You know what I mean?
Okay, okay. And so, you have boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai. As
Right.
far as the technique of all of them, in that aspect, can you really break down the techniques of them and why one should master all of them?
So are you basically asking, like, can I be good at one art and use that to be like, can I use that art to be good to kind of overcome all the other arts?
Well, can you use that one art and take that art to the next art to capitalize on the art where you kind of match both of them together and you just be so fierce and so dominant,
Right.
when you're putting them all together as one?
So like mixing it up then, right? Like doing
Yeah,
strike.
right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yes, sir. So, yeah, man. Actually, whenever, depending on what I'm getting ready for. So, if I'm doing jujitsu matches, I'm focusing strictly on jujitsu. If I'm doing a kickboxing match, I'm focusing strictly on kickboxing. If I'm doing MMA, that's when I really kind of get to let the creative side out. So, a lot of it's looking at YouTube videos, finding fights, finding different techniques, and just playing with them. And a lot of it's also just putting it together, what feels right. If I throw this jab cross, where is my positioning to get the takedown, or should I just back up and kind of keep them at bay? So I feel like that. I feel like you should always stick to what you're good at, but it's also good to explore, different things and see how it works with one. So I feel like when people go into fights, they look at the flashy moves, they look at the cool stuff, they see what people are getting knocked out with, and they focus too much on that. I feel like what I focus on is how can I change this game up? How can I hit you, hit your head, hit your body, hit your legs, take you down, hold you down, submit you, or just make you work, make you tired, just overwhelm you, just and it's not even that, but it's also how can I outsmart you? Every time I get into a fight, I think that's one thing that makes me different from everybody. Or I'm not gonna say everybody else, but most people. Um, I feel like due to my childhood and my upbringing, I'm able to think a lot better in high tense situations. So when I'm in the cage now, obviously my first fight I was really nervous. Now I still get nervous, but I feel calm when I'm in there. I feel like I belong there. I feel like I'm just walking on the mat and training, and I'm going out there just doing my thing. So I think that's definitely a good part. But yeah, definitely a start and mixing anything up. You definitely want to start in the training room and just see if it works. If it doesn't work, then don't use it. And a lot of it's using wrong moves too. Like you don't really want to go for a lot of leg locks in MMA. They could work, but if you're on the bottom trying to go for a leg lock, someone could be on top of you hitting you. So those kind of things they change up.
Okay, okay. And
Yes.
so, with that being said, from you being a fighter and studying the craft and having a lot of expertise that most humans don't have,
Right.
so in your personal opinion, how hard was it for Conor McGregor to transfer from MMA fighting when he had to go and box against Floyd Mayweather? How hard was that transition, or is that a tough transition, or do you think it's more mental than physical?
Right. So, that's a very common thing going on right now. A lot of MMA fighters moving over to the boxing world and, trying their hand in that. Um, Obviously, there's a lot of money in boxing, so I know why they do it. However, I don't think you can just be focused on all these different arts and go over to boxing and be as good as the person that's been doing it since they were 5 years old. This person has worked on just this one art his whole life. And the Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury fight coming up. Tyson Fury, his whole family has been involved in boxing all their life, and this person just kind of coming over there, and he's like, "This is just a dream. I'm just now dabbing in it." So you know, we have to worry about grappling 1 hour, kickboxing 1 hour, and boxing 1 hour, compared to these people who are doing 5 hours worth of boxing and strength and conditioning for boxing. So I think it's a hard transition. I don't think you're going to be able to get good at a craft like that in 3 months, 6 months. I don't think it's that easy. I think if you're going to transition over to boxing and you want to be successful at it, you definitely need to start focusing more on boxing, adding more hours to boxing, really just going to boxing gyms and sparring with boxers and just really feeling it out, really just getting used to it. And that's where, I'm not a person that likes hard sparring all the time. I like my brain cells, I don't believe in going to a training room and just trying to knock each other out every day, all day. But those sessions are good to just kind of open you up to it, like what I mean by that is just it's real good eye opener. Like you're going at a high tense pace, if you've been working hard enough or if you need to work harder, you know what you need to work on. Those are really the sessions that are going to really bring out the mistakes in you, and where you're good at, where you're bad at.
Back to you, Icon.
Okay, shout out to Nathan Roberts. He said, you are a very technical fighter from sparring with you. So, he giving you some praise there.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Thank you, Nathan.
yeah. So piggybacking off of what Jacob was saying about Conor McGregor. So because I was kind of, it was kind of interesting to me that when he fought Floyd Mayweather, that he kind of wore out so fast, and I'm thinking it seemed like with MMA fighting, it's like you seem like you're using more energy because you're kicking, you're punching, you're on the mat. So it seems like you're using more energy in a small, even though it's a short amount of time because it's less rounds or whatever. But it just seemed like to me, was it? Do you feel like he wore out because he didn't either? Maybe he didn't take it for he took it for granted and didn't train good enough, or is the stamina that you need for boxing and MMA that big of a difference?
Well, there's been a lot of different aspects to that. Like, Connor has always been known as an explosive fighter, so he always comes in, just really, really aggressive, and that can really take a toll. It could be an understanding of energy consumption, like maybe he's not realizing how much energy he's using on the type of shots he's wanting to take. I also think boxing is just a different ballpark. You go in there and like you think it's easy, but you have to condition your arms to be able to stay up and throw punches for, all them rounds. Um, Compared to MMA, where you're working on, defending against takedowns, doing takedowns, striking with little gloves on, putting someone up against the cage, getting on the ground. Like I feel like in MMA, there's a lot of room to take breaks, kind of. If I pin someone up against the cage and I hold them there, I can kind of take a breath, right? Like, yeah, I'm still using energy, but I'm not using as much energy compared to boxing where you just have someone that's in your face nonstop. And if you don't make a move or you don't make the correct step, then they're just going to keep popping you over and over again. And I think that can be really overwhelming. I think Connor thought he was going to go out there and knock Floyd Mayweather out and however many rounds he thought. But Floyd Mayweather is just so good at what he does. I think he just waited for the opportunity, wore him down, let him gas himself out, and then calculated on his shots, and that's what got him the dub. Connor even had that same issue with Nate Diaz. Came into the fight, did really good, trying to strike with him, and then he tried to go to the ground, and Nate Diaz choked him out, and it was all due just because of him being tired. So I don't really know what goes on in Conor McGregor's camp. I don't really know like how he trains, but I think there could be a lot of different things that go on. Like I said, energy consumption, picking your shots, conditioning properly, just all that stuff.
Okay, so this is a two-part question. So one, who was a couple of fighters that you kind of emulated or watched over the years, that kind of get group helped you kind of create your style of fighting, and what is your style of fighting? And also after that, give me your Mount Rushmore of MMA fighters up to this point.
Absolutely. So I was watching a lot of. I knew who Anderson Silva was. I liked Anderson Silva. I wouldn't say I was like a big Anderson Silva fan, but man, he'd go out there. He was real flashy, real good movement, and he was just going in there hungry every fight, just sleeping everybody or submitting them. So Anderson Silva definitely has to be on there. Where I watched a lot of his stuff, but definitely like John Jones, Dominique Cruz, and Demetrius Johnson. Those were three people I really liked and watched. Um, who else? Those are the only three that really that come to my head on people that like when I was coming up, who I was really like just studying. Like, man, I want to be like that guy. I really liked how Dominique he had really good footwork, very evasive. I like Demetrius Johnson. He was fast and good, just very well rounded, just good anywhere. It doesn't matter if it was wrestling, jiu-jitsu, striking. He's just a hard person to deal with. He's so fast, so powerful, and he's just smart also. John Jones, obviously, because man really hasn't really lost a fight in his whole career. He's very creative, and what I really like about John Jones is that he doesn't just fight people to win; he fights people to beat them at their own game. And to have a talent like that, like that's really hard. That's really hard to do and just adapt to and adjust to. Um, my Mount Rushmore, it would probably have to definitely be. Uh, I don't know. I would have to go with Habib, definitely up there. John Jones, obviously. I'd go with Cormier, and Demetrius Johnson, man. Yeah,
And so what's your stat? Well, before I ask you that, is so John Jones considered probably, I guess you want to say, the Michael Jordan or the Tiger Woods or the the Tom Brady, whatever you want to call it, in this era, LeBron James, whoever, he's
Right, the
considered the
Mayweather.
GOAT. He's basically considered the GOAT. Is he really, in your opinion, that much better than everybody else?
Oh yeah, man, 100%. You know, I know that. I mean, there's not really many people I think that are going to give John a competition. Um, I think the only way to give John a competition is to just really surprise him, do something that he's not thinking about. Just kind of throw a Hail Mary out there, I guess. But he's just so technical. He understands distance. The mentality part. That's a big. I think that's a really big one. And just how he holds his composure, like he goes in there and it's like that's his world, and you have someone that's been fighting for championships for however many years. He's went through all eras of fighters, and then you have some upcomer that has been working their whole life to really get that belt. He's gonna obviously probably make a lot of mistakes or be a little bit more timid about what he's doing compared to John, who's really calm, just thinking. His decision making is just all in place, and he just knows what to do at the right time, and he knows what to do. He knows when to kind of just engage. He's really good with distance, and I think that's what separates him from a lot of different people. Is he's really long. He has really long reach, but he also knows how to use it. So that's why he gets the upper hand on a lot of people.
Okay, and what's like your style? What's your strongest style? Just what do you really focus on, and what do people know you for?
So I've always been kind of known as that Muay Thai guy, or a striker. Um, Doing striking, it has really just I just understand it so much better. Like it just it's kind of like if you're doing English and math, you're gonna know which one you really like, right? So I feel like striking has always just made more sense to me. Just a lot easier to kind of put together. The grappling department, on the other hand, has been where I've struggled a lot. Just wrestling and just trying to keep up with these people who've been doing grappling all their life. So and it also like it's not that it doesn't click to me, it's just I'm not as fluent with it as I am with striking. But I would say that I'm more of like a Muay Thai jiu-jitsu guy. That's kind of my style.
Okay, so being that you said a lot of MMA fighters transition to boxing, well, there's another two-part question. One,
Yes, sir.
would you consider boxing? And two, would you ever consider doing something like the WWE or one of the other wrestling organizations?
I think it's like AEW or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of something like Extreme or whatever those other type of wrestling.
Yeah, so I actually grew up watching WWE with my dad. I was actually watching WWE before I even knew what UFC or boxing or any of that stuff was. So yeah, that was my cup of tea. I used to like Rey Mysterio, the Boogeyman, Undertaker, Kane. I used to
Mm,
grow up with it. I love all of them. Yes, I want to do a boxing match one day. I don't know if I would ever pursue it just because boxing, like really, there's a lot of head damage that goes on with that, and
mm.
I would definitely try it out once or twice, but I don't think it will be something I'm really passionate about. As of WWE, yeah, I would definitely probably do that, in the long term. Maybe after my fight career, go over there, go make some quick bucks.
Yeah, because
But
because the thing, well, one, I think too with boxing, I think some boxers, I think boxing, it's almost like it should be an age limit. Like what I mean by
right,
that is, or not, maybe not age limit, but a time limit.
right,
Basically, like I think that some boxers stay in it too long. Like Muhammad Ali stayed in it too long. It was
absolutely,
that stayed in it too long. And even like Evander Holyfield, it got so bad with him that the commission had to literally say, "We're not going to license you anymore. We're not going to allow you to fight anymore because it's just getting bad." You know what I mean? And I think like some boxers just don't know when to stop and when to give it up and move on. And I know they may love it and the money, everything may be good to them or whatever the reason why they keep doing it. But boxing is one of those sports that's almost like, nah, we can't let you fight but so long because it's going to
yeah,
get bad. And you don't
ex-
want somebody to end up getting, killed in the ring or end up permanently damaged. Just like
indeed,
you see ex-football players walking around and they can't even walk. And you look at Dion, the greatest cornerback of all time, and he done dang they got his whole foot cut off at this
That's
point.
I heard about
So
that.
yeah, so it's just bad. But man, Jacob, you got any more questions?
Nah, man, I just want to say this has been amazing, man. We really appreciate you coming on, man. A super dope interview about your fighting history, your backstory on how you got to the point that you're at now. And I just want you to keep going, man. I just want you to keep going,
Yes,
man. So we can definitely, you know, watch what you're doing and bring you back on a little later on, man. And if you have any other fighters from your training facility that kind of want to come on and give their backstory, we would love to have them.
yes, sir. Absolutely. We actually have two pros. We have Daniel Cubano. He's from Cuba, and he trains with us, and he's been undefeated and literally just knocking out every person that comes in front of him. He has a really tough guy. He's fighting at LFA this Friday. He's I think he's from Russia, so that's going to be a tough matchup. We also have Murad Almas. He's making his pro debut. We all started when we were amateurs, and we're all just moving up to pros now. But he's making his pro debut, I think October 27th. Then we got my long lost cousin Marco Soto. We're not related, but he's making his pro debut also this Friday, fighting for LFA with Cubano. And we have a lot of fighters on the October 27th card in Louisiana. I don't know all of them right now off the top of my head, but yeah, man, if you ever want more fighters to interview, anything like that, yeah, they would all love it. They all, they're all moving up and have kind of their own journey going on for them. So that'd be a pleasure.
Sounds
Do
good,
y'all?
man. I definitely be in touch with you, man, to do some scheduling. And like I said, I appreciate you coming on, man. And thank you for, once I reached out, you definitely didn't make me wait, and you definitely reached back out to me like you said, man, I would love to. So we here at the 910 Sports Podcast. Love that, man, and much respect to you.
Let me ask
Yes,
you
sir.
one.
Thank y'all so
I want to ask you one last question. When you talk about going from amateur to pro, and I know,
much. Yes, sir.
so what determines that time moment when you say it's time? So what kind of determines that?
So it's more of our coach. Our coach lets us know, like, hey, we want to. This is kind of what goals we have for you. We think you're ready. You're doing good. You know, we want to start getting you paid. Start making your pro debut. Start getting paid for it, and start getting that kind of recognition. Start fighting for the big shows. But amateurs all just experience, man. Some people come in and they want to be a fighter. They have that first fight, and they're like, nah, this really ain't for me. Then you have those people that come in and they fight and they're like, man, this kid's a natural. Then you have those people who are just hungry. Sometimes they lose, it doesn't really go their way, but they just keep trying, and they just keep getting better and better and making the adjustments they need to. Sometimes it could just be a weight issue, like maybe they just need to lower their weight. But our coaches over here, they typically have a talk with us, put us in, pull us in the room, pull us to the side, and say, "Hey, this is what we want to do, and we want to know how you feel about it, but we think you're ready." Other people, they can just anybody can go pro. And you don't need no one to give you permission. You don't need to sign no license, nothing. Anybody can go pro. So some people actually do go pro way prematurely. They shouldn't even be pro. But hey, man, that's their journey, not mine. I'm gonna do it the right way. Make sure I do the right steps to set me up for success, and yeah, just try to keep working hard and staying consistent.
Yeah. Well, last question. Have you ever went to work and looked like the guy from Fight Club? You mean when the Fight Club he used to have the
Yes,
fight, and then you go to work, and then you got the black eye, the busted lip, and everybody looking like, what happened to you? Yeah, have you ever had to go to work looking
I
like that?
I actually came from a sparring session one time, and I had my whole eye was black, looked like one of those spotted dogs, and my eye was red, and it was like that for like a month, and I was having to deal with like hotel guests and stuff. But for the most part, my manager just kept me in the back. He was like, "Hey, we can't be having you talk to customers all beat up like that." The other time was I got cut in sparring. I got caught with a knee, and I had to get stitches. And so like all this right here was like all purple, bruised up, and I remember I go to work and they're like, "Man, what the hell is going on over there at your gym?" But yeah, man, I've had some pretty nasty injuries I had to deal with and go and deal with some customers or at work. But it is what it is. You know, some people love it, some people hate it.
That's all good. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. Tell them where they can find you at, and where they can continue to follow you in your career.
Yes, sir. So you can find me on Facebook. My name is Trent Soto. You can also find me on Instagram. I'm really active on Instagram. That's kind of like my source for everything. I have two Instagram accounts. I have my fighter profile, which is Psycho Soto MMA, and then my coaching profile, which is Coach Psycho Soto. So you can follow me on there. You know, be a part of my journey. Hit me up if you're interested in learning something. And yeah, man, that's where I'll be.
All right, brother. Well, we appreciate you coming on. It's 910 Sports. Icon E, King Jacob, and we out of here. Y'all have a blessed night.
Have a good day.
I walked in the place, sat by the bar, all the drinks on me, don't go too far, sitting by the bartender, asked